Hi, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. Something I've noticed amongst people who are working their way through complex chronic health conditions is that over time, usually they start to become more open-minded about trying new things, which is admirable. And I understand this because we start with like a conventional kind of limited paradigm. We go, okay, hello, doctor, here's what's going on with me. I got fatigue, exhaustion, brain fog. I'm not sleeping. My libido's gone. I've got anxiety. My digestion's shot, right? What's wrong with me? Something's wrong. This isn't me. I don't know why I feel like this. I don't know what's going on. And we follow this kind of conventional medical thought process until we get maybe some symptom management or something like that. Usually you don't get a root cause level solution from that avenue, which tends to leave many patients with diagnoses like fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, mold exposure, candida, chronic fatigue syndrome. There's a ton of these things. Long haulers, right? That's another one, a new one coming now. All these reactivated Epstein-Barr, there's a ton of them, right? It tends to leave patients with these types of diagnoses kind of in this stasis period, like you're in limbo, because you're doing some things, you're managing some symptoms, but you haven't quite got everything dialed in. And so depending on your pain levels, and I don't just mean physical pain, but also your suffering in general, like how exhausted are you? How inflamed are you? How much swelling do you have, right? What's going on with your psyche? Are you getting depressed? Right? Depending on how severe all that stuff is, it's interesting because then we get this inverse openness to new possibilities, which sometimes is in the form of desperation, which is understandable. This is not a judgment. This is just something I've observed, right? And as a compassionate human, I'm here to talk about these things. So we have this kind of, I'll try anything type of mindset, which can be really good, right? Open-mindedness can be really good. It can be also tricky because if you don't have ways to think about the things that you're trying, you might actually do things that set you back or hurt you more. And in fact, a lot of times people do, they ask for help, or you go on a forum or something and you ask other people, like, what worked for you? What worked for Lyme disease? What's the best supplement for adrenal fatigue or whatever? And you get back 200 different answers from well-intentioned people, very well-intentioned people. And then you get this overwhelm and you get some paralysis around that. And then if you actually do try something and it doesn't work for you the same way it worked for somebody else, you're kind of left going, well, why not? Right? Is there something really wrong with me? Am I just so hopeless, right? That I'm beyond even that. And this kind of mental spiraling happens. It's quite common. And if this is happening with you, don't be embarrassed. This is the kind of stuff we talk about. I'm not afraid of any taboo topics, right? So we're going to talk about this stuff because it's going on and it's important and it's all part of the process. When you start to become more open-minded, right? You open your mind very wide and then anything can come in. So what I would offer in this video, we're going to talk about one way to start thinking about the things that you're opening your mind to so that you don't just let anything in, so that you can have an open mind that doesn't just get overrun with things that could either not work and make you feel like low morale or set you back and make you worse, right? Because sometimes well-intentioned therapies can actually cause more flares. This is something that needs to be decoded. If people don't understand, and you've probably seen this if you've seen any of my other videos, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There's an actual order to healing complex chronic health conditions. Immune system's first, digestive system second, neuroadrenal is third, blood circulation is fourth. There is a secret fifth stage, right, where we do hormones and boosting and that kind of stuff. But for most people, you don't really even need to go anywhere near most of that. You can start at the beginning, and as you start to get these blockages out of the way, your system starts to recalibrate and re-regulate on its own. Isn't that great, right? You inhabit a very intelligent body. It's a smart organism. It just needs a little bit of care and it needs it in the right order. So that's another thing. If you don't understand the order of operations and you start doing therapies and supplements and whatever else, but you're skipping steps, right? If you're in stage 1 and you should be addressing your immune system more and you're going into stage 4 and doing these things that are trying to boost blood circulation, or you're working on your mitochondria, stage 5, right? You're getting too ahead of yourself. There's actually problems with that and going out of order, which I've spoken about in plenty of other videos. You can find more and more information on this in my channel, or just join our group where I'm having these conversations every day, right? That's free to join. If you're having trouble with that, you can be out of order, you can be skipping steps, and you can be actually working backwards, taking something that is a good thing to do, but it's at the wrong time, right? So I'm going to give you one way to look at this today in this video. There's a lot of ways to look at this, but one way to look at this is actually time tested, and it's the silver fox. Right? So we're going to get into what does that mean in terms of medicines and how can we use that as a filter so we can still keep an open mind without hurting ourselves on accident. All right, let's get started. The silver fox is a bias, okay? This isn't 100% foolproof, but it's a guideline. It's a way to think about some of the things that you're considering trying. It's just one more gate right, for new ideas to pass through before you actually start to implement them in your healing strategy. Because at this point, you're probably seeing some different practitioners, and you're probably doing a fair amount of trying to empower yourself to start to take more control over your system. The people I work with that do the best are the people who want more independence and medical independence and more ownership over their health, right? So most of the people that I meet in our international community are people who, yes, they maybe have some practitioners they're working with, which is great, but most of the time they're trying to really figure out what works for them, it's wonderful. So as you're trying to do that, I want to give you a gate, right, for new ideas to pass through. And if it passes through that gate, then you might consider it. But one of them is the silver fox effect, right, which basically means that it's time tested. So what's a silver fox? It's this idea of a man, typically it's a man, right, who has more silver hair, okay? And there's this whole thing, like George Clooney's the one I usually talk about with this, because, oh, he's so attractive, he's so handsome. And if you don't like George Clooney, just bear with me, okay? But, oh, he's so handsome. Why is he so handsome? Why do women in general tend to like this silver fox? And I'm going to oversimplify some things, and I know that I'm going to be talking about, it's just generalizations. So just go with this for an example, because all kinds of people have different sexual orientations, different preferences. I'm not getting into any of that. We're going to keep it very cut and dry, because this isn't really about George Clooney. Okay, this is about you getting better. So trying to get triggered by my analogies here. In the old days, a young female would have many different young males to choose from, right? In terms of mate selection. And if we look just with an evolutionary biology lens, if we just go, okay, all this whole thing is just about passing on the most robust DNA combinations, right? So the tribal woman would hunter-gatherer, right? She's got to pick a guy who's going to have strong DNA, which is indicative of his fitness to survive in the world, right? So she wants to have strong kids with strong DNA. So you can look at all these young men and you don't know, right? Because they've only been on the planet for so long. You don't know which ones are going to make it, right? You don't know which ones have strong DNA. You don't know which ones are the kind of guy that'll just walk right off a cliff, right? And they call it the Darwin Award, right? Because you're not going to pass your DNA on if you do these things that just assure your destruction. So when looking at younger, newer potential mates, it's a lot harder for a female to pick which one she wants to procreate with, right? But if she sees a guy silver-haired, that's a sign, that's an outward sign that his body's giving her, hey, here's my silver hair, that shows he's been around a while. And just the sheer fact that he's a little bit older means he's survived more stuff, which means his DNA is more robust, which means he's a safer choice to breed with, to have a baby with robust DNA, right? It doesn't mean that none of the new guys are going to be good at all. It just means it's a little safer, okay? So when I'm looking at medical interventions, I have a bias. I'm just going to tell you right now, I got a George Clooney bias, right? It's a man crush. I look for older therapies. I look for silver-haired therapies, things that have been around a while. So I have a very strong Eastern medicine background because of that. Acupuncture, very old. Herbal medicine, extremely old. Some of our herbal medicine textbooks are 3,000 years old, at least. And before that, they were compiled from things. So, before that, there was knowledge of this. Using herbal medicine, plant-based medicine, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect medical system, of course. However, one of the things that leans me towards that is that humans have been using it forever. We've worked a lot of the kinks out in 3,000 to 5,000 years, or whatever it's been, right? A lot of this knowledge has been refined through experience, not necessarily through double-blind randomized controlled trials, right? As we look at reductionist science, they weren't doing that 3,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, as far as I know. They were doing experiential knowledge gathering, which is wisdom accumulation, right? So it's a different way to learn things. Nowadays, we have science as well, which is really cool because a lot of the wisdom traditions have gotten to a certain vantage point in terms of what herbs are good for what conditions and what types of people. And science has come through and now analyzed those substances and gone, oh yeah, well, that's how that works, right? So we're not looking at if it works. We already figured that out. Now we're looking at how it works. And we're getting validated. And you look at the same thing from two different perspectives and you get different kinds of answers that all tell the same story. Fantastic. So when you're looking at, why I'm telling you this, right? Because when you're looking at new therapies, new supplements, there is so much out there that gets our hopes up. And sometimes it works, which again, just like the younger mates, right? Younger potential mates. Some of them are going to be very robust DNA, right? Good breeding partners. However, it's a lot harder to know when they're new, right? But there's still going to be some winners there. Same thing. We have new medicines, new supplements, new drugs, new whatever, biohacking tools, all these things. There's a ton of these things and they're coming out like crazy. but they're all quite new. Some of them will be great. Some of them won't. We won't know the long-term effects of anything until we've had a long time of using them. That's kind of the nature of things, especially when like you have a new medical therapy, something that you've created in a very short period of time, something very novel and new, and then you start spreading it around the population very quickly without any long-term studies, because long-term studies are impossible for something that's only existed for 6 months or something like that, or a year, right? You won't know the long-term effects until it's been a long time. That's the nature of this. So I try to go back in time, right? We try to use our future understanding because it has been a long time. It's been 3,000 years people have been using these herbal formulas or whatever it is. That's pretty good for understanding long-term effects. So you don't always have to use herbs. Why I'm telling you this is because it's one way to think about things. And what I really don't like to see is when people come in and they say, well, I've tried this, and this, right? All these different little silver bullets that have each little reductionist molecule or compound or supplement, right? For a while, it was like essential fatty acids, and it was like fish oils and omega-3, right? And that was what everybody was writing about. And you read that and it's like, wow, this is exactly what I need. And sometimes it's antioxidants, right? And then you look at that and there's so much science, and we look at these antioxidants and go, wow, this is an amazing compound. This is exactly what I need, right? And it just keeps going like that. Every single reduced thing we get, there's somebody somewhere who's written a whole thesis on why that is the be-all end-all thing that we must have. These are silver bullets, okay? This is one little isolated variable. And what oftentimes happens is people have tried, oh, I tried that one, I tried this one, I tried this one, I tried combining them, right? I tried all these things. And if it doesn't quite work, you start to get let down. You start to lose hope. And this is what I see a lot. People get kind of despondent. They get kind of sad. They can get, their morale goes down because they start to get exhausted because they've tried all these things. So where we used to have an open mind, now we're becoming jaded, right? Oh, I'm open to anything. Well, I tried anything and it either messed me up or didn't quite work. And now I'm getting like kind of jaded and I'm starting to close my mind down. So why I'm giving you this is one of many gates you can create to keep your mind open but filtered. So start looking at older things with a longer history of use, right? Sometimes it's foods. Sometimes it's going to be things from different traditions. I've got, a strong background in Eastern medicine, but that, there's herbs from the Amazon that people have been using for thousands of years that are being discovered, right? There's medicinal mushrooms. There's things from indigenous cultures all over the planet that we're learning more and more about, including lifestyle, right? Including how to eat, what not to eat, when to eat, right? Including social constructs like how to be around your community, right? All these different things that maybe don't have an immediately understandable medicinal value, but actually might shape your entire existence, right? Practices around circadian rhythm. I speak about all this stuff on the channel here. And of course, we have deeper conversations within our group. If you're struggling with a complex chronic health condition, you might consider applying. The application link is in the description below the video. You'll find it, I'm sure. Please take your time with the application. Be thoughtful, be thorough. This is my opportunity to get to know you. And I do like to get to know the people coming into the group. It's free to join the group, but not everybody makes it in. Some people just aren't a good fit. Some people are a great fit. We've got a wonderful community. It's very cozy. It's very positive. There's people from all over the world in there. They're all very proactive, bright, sophisticated, working on getting better, working through the stages, healing in order, right? In an order that makes sense, and understanding why the things that we tried that didn't work, understanding why that didn't work, what you could do instead, and then when would be a good time to try to reintroduce those things, because they might not be bad fits. They might just be something you need to do later. It's really important to have these distinctions. We've got a vault full of interactive videos so you can really get your fingers on your own pulse and figure out where you're at, what you need. And of course, you can ask me anything in there. The group tends to fill up. There might be a bit of a wait. Could be 2 weeks, could be 2 months. I don't know. I try to give everybody a fair opportunity to come in, so I'll let you know as soon as it's your turn. In the meantime, consider subscribing to this channel, liking this video, doing all those things to interact and tell the algorithm that this is important to you. Because if you're working on getting your health back, you're probably missing out on a lot of facets of life. There's a lot of things that you're not able to do right now, which is understandable. Getting that back should be like your top priority. So that includes how you use the internet. So train the algorithm to show you more videos and things like this that will help you learn to get your power back over your health. Then you can start to get your life back, and you can start to be there for people again, show up, be spontaneous, take trips, have fun, get that back. It's important. You're worth it. I hope this video helps you. Let's get you feeling better. Cheers.